Hey guys, this video is going to be a video lesson on the first eight. Let's do the whole first two A sections of the jazz guitar chordal arrangement of A Christmas Song. Okay, so my best advice to you throughout the video is every time you get to a spot that you need help with, I would pause the video at that spot after I get done teaching that specific chord or fingering, work on it by yourself until you think you understand it, and then rewind the video about 10 or 20 seconds and try it along with me in the video. I think that's the best way for you to get the best out of this kind of video. Okay, so without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Our first chord is E flat 6, sounds like this. And I'm going to start most of these guys with the lower strings first and then go this way in terms of telling you what I'm using. But every now and then I will start with the high E string. So just try to watch and listen to what I'm saying for this to make it easier. So for E flat 6, we're going to start with our pinky on the A string at the 6th fret, middle finger on the 5th fret of D, ring finger on the 5th fret of G, and pointer finger on the 4th fret of B. Sounds like this. Okay, the next chord is going to be C minor 7. To play this, we're going to use our pointer finger at the 10th fret of the D string, our pinky finger at the 12th fret of the G string, and then our middle finger on the 11th fret of the B string, and then our ring finger also on the 11th fret of the high E string. Sounds like this. Okay, our next chord is an F minor 13. To make this, we're going to bar our 8th fret with our index finger from the A string down. So if I barred all of those, it would sound like this. Okay, now that I have my bar intact, I'm going to bring my ring finger down on the 10th fret of the D string, bring my middle finger down on the 9th fret of the B string, and then my pinky is going to be way on top on the 10th fret of the high E string. So it should sound like this: 8 and 10, 8 and 9, and then a 10 on top with the pinky. Now when you play this chord, you have to play it once, and then you release your pinky, and then play the high E string by itself with an 8, and that 8 is still being covered by this bar, so it should sound like this. Okay, here it is again. Okay, same idea with this next chord for B flat 7. We're going to do a bar chord with our index finger on the 6th fret, starting on the D string down. So that would look like this. Then just put your middle finger on the 7th fret of the G string, so it sounds like this. And then after you play this chord, you want to use your pinky to play the 9th fret on the B string. So, like that. So here's the whole first measure. 1, 2, ready, and. Okay, it's okay if you can't play it that fast yet, but there it is in context, so you can hear how it sounds. Okay, here's the next measure, starting with E flat major 7. We've got some easy chords in this measure, so it's nice. For E flat major 7, we're going to do a little bit of a bar with our first finger across the 6th fret on the A string. We don't really need it, but we're going to start with at least on the A string. Our ring finger goes on 8 on the D string. Our middle finger goes on 7 on the G string. And our pinky goes on 8 on the B string. Sounds like this. Okay, we're going to hit that chord and then play the 8 on the B string right after it by itself, like this. Okay, then we're going to go to C minor 7. It's technically just a wall of 8s, but what we want to do is we want to use our middle finger for the 8 on the low E string, skip the A string, as in don't play anything on open A, and then use our ring finger to hit the 8s on the D string, G string, and B string. So I have middle finger down here, and then the ring finger right behind it. Everything smushed between those 7th and 9th fret, right at the 8th fret. And I really want to hear this kind of sound. E string, skip the A string, D string, G string, B string. Okay, Next chord is an easy one, F minor 9. We have our middle finger on the 8th fret of the A string, pointer finger on the 6th fret of the D string, ring finger on the 8th fret of the G string, and then pinky on the 8th fret of the B string. Sounds like this. Okay, and our last chord in this measure is B flat 13, flat 9. Pretty easy one. Middle finger goes on the 7th fret of the low E string. Skip the A string again and put your index finger on the 6th fret of the D string. Ring finger on the 7th fret of the G string. And pinky on the 8th fret of the B string. Remember, if you're using a pick, guys, whenever you have these chords where there's a string you're not supposed to play, you want to make sure that the back of one of your fingers is kind of muting that string, so we don't hear it when we pick across. If you're finger picking it, you can just grab the strings you need to play, so you don't even have to worry about it. Right? Or if you're using your thumb. Okay? So here's the second measure in context. 3 and... Okay, moving on to the third measure. Okay, we have E flat 6 again, which is the same as the very beginning chord. I'm going to do this one a little bit quicker. 6 with the pinky on A, 5 with the middle on D, 5 with the ring on G, and 4 with the index on B. Okay, then we have C minor 7, which is in this case just a wall of just 8s. And I would just do a bar there with all 8s with the index finger from the D string down. And then for B flat minor 7, you just move it down 2 frets to 6. So here's C minor 7, here's B flat minor 7. Okay. When you get done with B flat minor 7, you want to quickly put your pinky on 9 on the B string, so it sounds like this. Okay. Our last chord in this measure is a little bit tricky. We need to kind of bar the A string down with our first finger on the 6th fret, so it sounds something like this. But we're going to bring our ring finger in, our ring finger in on 8 on D, and then our pinky on the 8th fret of B, so it sounds like this. Okay, and then you want to lift that pinky and go to 6 on B, which is just from the bar. Okay, so that's that whole measure. Sounds like this. 3, 4. Okay, moving on to the next measure. This one's pretty easy. This is A flat major 7 to A flat minor 6. Sounds like this. Okay, index finger on 4 of the low E string. Skip a string. Ring finger on 5 of the D string, pinky on 5 of the G string, middle finger on 4 of the B string. After you play the chord, you play the low E string 1 time like this. Then we go to A flat minor 6, which sounds like this. Middle finger on the 4th fret of the low E string. Skip a string, 3 with the index finger, ring finger at 4th fret G string, and pinky with the 4th fret of the B string. And after that one, you hit the 4th fret again as well. So here's that whole measure. Okay, moving on to, actually let's play just the first 4 measures. Here's the first 4 measures of the piece. Sounds like this. Okay, now we're on measure 5, starting with C minor 7. It's a pretty easy one, my standard chord in guitar repertoire. We're going to bar the 3rd fret with our index finger on the 3rd fret of the A string and down. Add the ring finger on the 5th fret of the D string. Add our middle finger on the 4th fret of the B string, so it looks like this. I'm going to play that chord twice. Then we're going to move our bar down to the 4th fret. of the A string going down still. Put our ring finger at the 6th fret of the D string, and then our pinky on the 6th fret of the B string. Okay, you're gonna play that chord once. Then you're gonna play it again, but without the pinky, so you can lift the pinky up, and then you bring the pinky back down. So it sounds like this. So it's chord, chord again without the pinky, and then the pinky by itself, pushed back down. So here's that whole measure. Ready, and. Okay. Next measure is not too bad either. We have E flat major 7, which we had before, which is 6, 8, 7, 8 on the middle 4 strings. Index finger on 6, ring finger on 8, middle finger on 7, pinky on 8. So we have this. Okay. Now we want our index finger to actually bar from the A string down. Okay. Because we need to hit this 6 by itself right after this chord. So it sounds like this. Okay. Then we have C minor 7, another wall of 8s, starting from the D string down. So that chord and C minor 7 together sound like this. Okay. Then we're going to go to A minor 7 sus 4. This is a little bit of a trickier one. Pointer finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the D string. Ring finger on the 9th fret of the G string. Middle finger on the 8th fret of the B string. Pinky on the 10th fret of the high E string. Sounds like this. Okay. Then we're going to hit, we're going to make a new chord. We're going to play one note in that chord before playing the rest of the chord. So for D7 flat 9, you're going to kind of put a wall of 7s with your index finger on the D string down. Put your middle finger on the 8th fret of the G string, and then your ring finger on the 8th fret of the high E string. So it sounds like this. But when you play it, you're going to play the D string by itself, and then the rest of the chord right after it. So it sounds like this. So here's that whole measure. Ready, and here it is again. Okay. Going to the first ending. This is the third line of the sheet music, and it should be measure 7. We have G major 7, which is a index finger on the 5th fret of the D string, followed by the ring finger on the last 3 strings, all on the 7th fret. So it sounds like this. So 5 with the index finger, and all the 7s with the ring finger. You're going to play that chord twice. Okay. Then you're going to go up to A flat minor 7 sus 4, which is the same one we played earlier, but it's a little bit lower now. So index finger on 6 of the D string, ring finger on 8 on the G string, middle finger on 9 of the B string, pinky on, sorry, not 9, 7 on the B string, and then pinky's on 9 on the high E string. So it sounds like this. And then right after you hit this chord, you have to go to 7 on the high E string. And your best bet here would be to kind of play the chord and then kind of like collapse your middle finger to kind of reach up to that 7 to get to that chord next. Okay, this next chord is a little tricky. D flat 13 flat 9. We're going to use our pinky on the 9th fret of the D string, middle finger on the 7th fret of the G string, and then our index finger on the top 2 strings on the 6th fret. Okay, just like how we collapsed the middle finger earlier, hit a 7, we're going to do the same thing here with our pinky. We're going to hit this chord, and then immediately collapse our pinky to get to the 9 on a B string. Okay, so this is a tricky measure, guys. So here's what measure 7 sounds like by itself. 3, and. Here it is again. Ready, and. Okay, here's measure 8. Very similar to what we just did, but a little bit lower. So we're going to start with G flat major 7, which is 4, 6, 6, 6 on the D string going down. With our index finger on 4 and a ring finger on all the 6s. After you play that chord, you're going to play the low 4 by itself. So like that. You're going to play play F minor 7 sus4, which is going to be index finger on 3 of the D string, ring finger on 5 of the G string, middle finger on 4 of the B string, and then pinky on 6 of the high E string. You're going to strum that, collapse the middle finger to make a 4 on the high E. So here it is again. Okay. Then we quickly go into B flat 13 flat 9, which is pinky on 6 on the D string, middle finger on 4 on the G string, index finger on 3 of the B string, and 3 on the E string. Okay. After you hit this chord, collapse the pinky to hit 6 on the B string. So it sounds like this. Okay. Here's that whole measure by itself. 3, 4. Here it is again. Okay. Here's measures 5 through 8. So I'm going to go back to the second line of the piece, guys, where it says C minor 7. I'm going to play that measure all the way down through the end of the first ending. So that sounds like this. Ready, and... Okay. Now after this measure, guys, with this chord, these chords, it technically goes back to the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to move down to the second ending now. So after this, now we're on measure 9, which is located at the second ending of the piece, and it is labeled as G minor 7. Goes to this chord here, which is index finger on 5 on the D string, pinky on 7 of the G string, and then middle finger, then ring finger on B and E string for 6th fret. Okay. After you hit this, you need to hit an 8 really quickly on the B string. Okay, I would do it like this. Play the chord. Move your pinky up to the 8 on B string, so it looks like this. Okay. Now for C7, you're going to make a wall of 8s with your index finger on the D string going down, and then add your middle finger on 9 on the G string, so that sounds like this. 8, 9, 8, 8. Okay, after you play that chord, use your pinky to hit 11 on the B string. So we have this so far. F minor 7 is a wall of 8s with your index finger starting in the A string going down. But add your ring finger on 10 on the D string, and your middle finger on 9 on the B string. And then we have a B flat 7 chord. We're going to learn the whole chord first, but when you play it, you're going to play the bass note by itself and then the rest of the chord. Okay, so to make that, we do a wall of 6s starting on the low E string. We haven't done a bar chord that low yet, so it's be the first 4 strings with our index finger on the low E string down on the 6th fret. Add your ring finger on 8 on the A string, and your middle finger on 7 on the G string. So it sounds like this. And again, when you play this last chord, guys, you're going to play the root note by itself and then the rest of the chord. So it looks like this. Okay, here's that whole measure. Here it is again. Okay, and we just go to E flat 6 after that, which is our very first chord we started with. Okay, so now, guys, I'm going to play the entire first 2 A sections. So this would be your first quiz most likely. So this is measures 1 through 8, and then I'm going to repeat back to measure 1 and play measures 1 through 6, and then skip down to the second ending and play measures 9 and 10. Okay, so here's what that sounds like. 1, 2, ready, and... first ending. Back to measure 1. Second ending. Okay, so this will get you through measures 1 through 10. Good luck.